Whilst lacking in luxury, Walt Disney World's value resorts can be the smarter choice for those looking to take advantage of those enticing on-site benefits without breaking the bank, especially for those intending to spend most of their time away from their hotel. But is a value resort right for you? And if so, which one should you choose? Hi, I'm the Frugal Brit, and for this video I'll be providing an idiot's guide to Walt Disney World's value resorts. Hopefully by the end of the video you'll be able to decide if any of these 5 resorts are right for your vacation. Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on future guides, news, reviews and other Orlando vacation content. So all resorts within Walt Disney World fall within either the value, moderate or the deluxe categories, but of course for this video we'll be focusing on just the 5 value resorts. Those being All-Star Sports, All-Star Music, All-Star Movies, and these 3 are grouped next to each other. Then you have Pop Century and Art of Animation. I'll be taking you guys on a brief tour of each resort in part 2 of the video, but before we get into that, I thought I would give a very simple overview of what a value resort is and what to expect. This is an idiot's guide, so some of this part will be pretty obvious for many of you and has been sort of touched on in a couple previous videos. So if you already know what a value resort is and what it offers, then feel free to skip to part 2. Anyway, so all 5 Disney World resorts are based inside the Walt Disney World complex and are the most affordable way to stay on site. For those that don't know, you don't have to stay at a Walt Disney World resort. You can stay off-site nearby for much cheaper, but staying on-site does provide a number of cool amenities and benefits. One of the unique amenities is the Movies Under the Stars, which provides a relaxing way to unwind with complimentary Disney movie screenings by the pools on most nights. But the main benefits to staying at an on-site Disney World resort include Disney Dining Plan eligibility, free magic bands, extra magic hours, FastPass Plus reservations at 60 days instead of 30 days, and free transportation to and from the parks. Also, for the time being, Disney does offer free transportation to and from the airport. However, this is due to end January 1st, 2022. For more detail on these benefits, you can check out my idiot's guide to Walt Disney World here. Also, I will leave a link in the description with a guide to visiting Walt Disney World during the pandemic, as not all services are available during this period and not all resorts will be open. So the value resorts are located further away from the parks compared to the moderate or deluxe resorts, so that's one of the main trade-offs. But regardless, if you're staying at a value resort, you do have complimentary transportation over to the Disney World parks. However, this is limited for the most part to Disney's shuttle bus service. In other words, no monorail or boat access. But you do also have Skyliner transportation for 2 of the value resorts, which I'll cover in part 2. Unlike the moderate and deluxe resorts, the theming for Disney's value resorts is tailored for young children or those young at heart, with each section of the resort having a theme based on a Disney movie, musical style, sport, or other theming element. The size of the value resort rooms average at around 260 square feet with 2 double beds or 1 king bed and a maximum occupancy of 4 people plus a baby in a crib. There are some exceptions to this which we'll touch on later in the video. Whilst the exterior of the value resorts have substantial theming, for the most part this doesn't really apply to the rooms, which typically feature bright colours but little in the way of design and closet space. But all rooms have cable TV and free Wi-Fi. With the exception of Art of Animation, value resort rooms are accessed from the exterior. The pool areas at the value resorts feature fun theming that kids will love, and you'll find at least 2 heated pools, with kids pools located in close proximity to the larger pools. These pools are a little smaller than those that you'll find at the moderate or the deluxe resorts, but with Art of Animation being the exception to this rule. And also, there are no slides at any of the value resorts. For those of you familiar with how the Disney Dining Plan works, you'll know that there are 2 distinct categories of restaurants, which are quick service and the more expensive table service restaurants. So none of the Disney value resorts offer table service meals, so you'll need to travel elsewhere if you want to try some of the more elaborate dining options at Walt Disney World. Now that you've got a basic idea of what the value resorts offer, I'll take you guys on a brief tour of each resort. Whilst there's no particular order, I will end with my personal favourite. So starting with the first of the 3 All-Star resorts, which are situated in the southernmost section of Walt Disney World, we have All-Star Sports Resort. This is one of the original value resorts north of the other 2 All-Star resorts. Sharing in the trend of oversized, colourful displays at the value resorts, this resort features sky-high football helmets, tennis rackets, basketball hoops and more. All-Star Sports has the Surfboard Bay Pool, which is its primary pool, containing a pool bar and recreational activities. True to its name, it features surfboards, waves and shark fins. You also have the Grand Slam Pool, located in a more quieter area of the resort. The main advantage of All-Star Sports when compared to the other All-Star resorts is that guests at this resort will be first to be picked up for the bus transportation and first to be dropped off. So basically all 3 All-Star resorts share the same bus routes, so it should in theory be less crowded when you're picked up, and you'll also save time on your way back from the parks. All rooms are standard size. Just like all the other All-Star resorts, it is in the lowest price bracket at Walt Disney World. Worth mentioning that all the All-Star resorts are to be remodeled with the same layout and design. However, All-Star Sports is going to be the last to start the remodeling. Because the theming revolves around sports, there isn't much room for variety in decor like with the other Disney value resorts. It has been said that this resort has less of a Disney feel to it when compared to the others covered in this video. One of the downsides to staying at this resort is that it is most likely to host large school groups such as cheerleading groups, so if that's a concern, might want to pick somewhere else. To the south of All-Star Sports, you have Disney's All-Star Music Resort. Themed around the music genres of rock and roll, jazz, country, Broadway, show tune and calypso. Guests will marvel at the gigantic music-inspired icons surrounding the buildings and the light-hearted musical elements inside each wing. The most notable features of All-Star Music include the guitar-shaped pool and the expansive music-themed intermission court. As far as positives go, the music theme is great and the buildings really light up and dazzle at night. There's also some nice garden landscaping atypical of the value resorts. In terms of transportation, it is the second All-Star resort to be picked up by the buses and second to be dropped off, so whilst not the worst, not as convenient as All-Star Sports. Another disadvantage is that guests staying in one of the far western buildings will have to walk quite far to get to the main area of the resort for food and buses, etc. All-Star Music has 260 family suites. Its floor plans and standard rooms are similar to the other All-Star resorts, which as mentioned are in the process of being refurbished. The suites at All-Star Music can sleep up to 6 and 1 baby in a crib, have 2 bathrooms, a master bedroom with queen bed, living room area, and are priced higher than the standard rooms. However, very important to note that the suites at All-Star Music are the cheapest you'll find within Walt Disney World. Next, we have Disney's All-Star Movies Resort south of All-Star Music, which is the most classically Disney-esque of the Disney value resorts. Its larger-than-life Disney characters from the likes of Toy Story, 101 Dalmatians and Fantasia adorn the exteriors and interiors of their respective wings. Some of the characters reaching 40 feet tall, providing great photo opportunities for the family. The most notable features of the resort include the world premiere food court and the Fantasia-themed pool where Sorcerer Mickey sprays water on guests. All rooms at All-Star Movies are standard size, and as far as I'm aware, all have been recently updated, so if the condition of the room is important to you, and if you're booking a trip in the near future, then All-Star Movies might be the best choice for you. When comparing to many of the other value resorts, some would argue that All-Star Movies has the strongest theming, at least the most Disney-esque, but some say it's a little dated with the likes of its Mighty Ducks section. But overall, good theming, and with it being the joint cheapest resort, makes it a very attractive choice. The downside to choosing All-Star Movies is that it is the last stop on the All-Star bus route, so buses can often be crowded with passengers from the other 2 All-Star resorts. The second to last resort in this guide is Disney's Art of Animation, which opened in 2012 and is located in the southernmost point of Disney World. This resort is considered a value plus resort because it offers guests a little more in the way of luxury feel than the other 4 value resorts. One notable feature is that it has the largest pool at Disney World, known as the Big Blue Pool. Its standard rooms are decorated with plenty of Little Mermaid, sea-inspired decor from the classic Disney movie. Similar to All-Star Music, this resort offers spacious family suites to accommodate up to 6 guests. This is within the Nemo, Cars and the Lion King sections of the resort. Each room is accessed via an interior hallway as opposed to the motel-style exterior access from the other value resorts. The food court at Art of Animation is the landscape of flavours, easily the best amongst the other value resorts. It has its own shuttle bus service taking you to and from the theme parks, so no bus sharing like the All-Star resorts. And crucially, since 2019, guests are also able to travel on the Skyliner gondolas, taking guests to Disney's Hollywood Studios and Epcot. This has been a huge hit with guests and a big selling point for Disney World vacationers. So in comparison to the other value resorts, it is better in pretty much all areas, maybe, except for price. It can be significantly more expensive than the other 4 though. Also, the Little Mermaid rooms require quite a long walk to get to the lobby area, and overall I would say these rooms don't represent the best value for money unless your kids would really appreciate a Little Mermaid themed room. Finally, we're on to my personal favourite value resort at Walt Disney World in terms of providing the best bang for your buck, which is of course Disney's Pop Century, located next door to Art of Animation. This resort is themed to the fads of the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, covering the fashions, toys, dances and catchphrases from the latter half of the century. Besides the retro decor, Pop Century features a 1960s themed pool called the Hippy Dippy Pool, with flower-shaped water jets to cool you off on those sweltering Florida days. The Everything Pop shopping and dining area contains Pop Century's food court with 7 food stations. As with most of the other value resorts, there is only standard rooms available. Pop Century is slightly more expensive than the All-Star resorts, but it benefits from having its own dedicated bus transportation to and from each theme park. And crucially, there is also a Pop Century stop on the Disney Skyliner. The food court is also a step above the dining options at the All-Star resorts. Whilst not quite as good as the food court over at Art of Animation, you do have the option to walk over to that resort to use the landscape of flavours. This close proximity also helps with bus transportation because it gives you an additional option when travelling back from the parks. For example, let's say there's a massive queue at the Magic Kingdom for guests heading back to Pop Century. Then you can alternatively jump in the Art of Animation queue if this is shorter, then walk back to Pop Century when you arrive. Overall, there isn't really anything to complain about with Pop Century other than maybe a bit of noise from other guests. The price is low, the themes and icons are great, the pools are fun, and the transportation is above par for Walt Disney World. If you don't mind a little noise and a simple room layout, Pop Century offers a great resort for budget-conscious vacationers. In summary, I would say that unless you plan to spend a considerable amount of time at your chosen resort, then booking a value resort is the most frugal way to take advantage of the on-site benefits. Whilst it might seem frugal to you, it certainly won't appear that way to children who will absolutely love the theming. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you have an awesome vacation whenever that is. Do check out my other videos if you're headed to Disney World anytime soon. And if you're interested in future Orlando vacation content, don't forget to subscribe.